Hey team, how is everybody today? Welcome back to another On the Couch with me. Today I'm going to be talking to the fabulous Katie Dean. Her website is Katie Dean Your Wildlife. And I'm going to let her introduce you to, let me get her on the camera. Let me get her on, let her introduce herself because she'll do it far better than I will. But she's super fabulous. You love her. She has zero fault to give about things. How are you, mate?
Hi, how are you?
I'm really
set myself up now. I can see myself.
Absolutely, because why wouldn't you want to?
I can see how this is going to go already.
I know, pretty much. I would love if you could please just introduce yourself to people, tell them who you are, where you are, and what do you do?
Oh, nice. Okay, straight into it. I'm going to switch gears because I'm the one usually asking the questions at the moment. So my name is Katie Dean. I am a mindset and motivation coach, but I'm also an author, which is where I'm actually spending a little bit more of my time these days, which is really cool. I have one book published that's called Becoming Brave, and that's a sassy woman's guide for turning fear into bravery. I have another book that's in the publishing process called Messy, and that is the guide to living lighter and giving less forks. And the third book is being written called The Good Enough Mum. So it's all like in that in-between stages at the moment, but I'm a solo mum as well to two little boys who have just left to go with their dad today. So today's always a bit wobbly, but it's also like, yes, free time, and then, oh, it's so quiet. And I'm based in Newcastle in New South Wales.
Okay.
So that's the spiel.
That's amazing, and I have so many questions about that. But before we dive into them, I would love you if you could tell me something that you're into at the moment. So it could be a food, it could be, I don't know, a TV show, it could be anything. So what I'm into right now is this new app I just downloaded from the health and fitness guy, and it's called Primal Phoenix. And it's awesome. He's all about like body weight based movement, primal based movement, and moving well. He's all about stimulation, not annihilation, which I really like. But what I love about the app is that you can choose, like, I've got 15 minutes and create new workout. And you can basically either do one of the program workouts or kind of go, this is how much time I've got, give me something. And it will do that, which I love, because I find sometimes if I'm doing like an online workout program, there's a real sense of like failure or something like that for me around not finishing something. So if it's a 30-minute workout and I know I've only got 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, I'm going to not do any of it, because if I just do 20 minutes, then I'm just a bit like, that's what I'm into.
So you can tailor it. Yeah. That is very cool. I'm very, very glad. That's good. I'm going to check that out, because it's really important to be able to get a workout in that fits around our lifestyle. It shouldn't be a chore. Absolutely. So I'm totally down with that. Yes. What am I into? Well, actually, here's a funny story. I yesterday had this woke up with this hectic pain. And so I went to the chiropractor, and he's like, no, I don't think it's that. But anyway, it got cracked and aligned. And then I went to the dentist, and now I've got this gnarly wisdom tooth who's not supposed to be there. The other two were removed like 10 years ago. And anyway, so it's there. I have to go to a surgeon. They won't touch it. So it's a big thing. So, and her solution was, I'm like, so what do I do in the meantime? She's like, just take heaps of Panadol. It'll be fine. And I'm like, yeah, no. And she said, or just don't open your mouth. So, thanks. Sure. I said,
how do I yell at my children without opening
my mouth? That's exactly what I said. I said, I have two little boys. How am I going to yell at them? And she looked at me and she was like, and I said, no, but really, how am I going to yell at them? She's like, can you put your hand? I will, you can silently yell. Like you can whisper scream, but you can glare. So that works. But anyway, and she's like, I'm like, but what about yawning? She's like, you can just yawn and just don't allow. Anyway, so what I'm into is I'm going to, because I'm all about my essential oils as well. So I'm going to go and research what I can do to help the pain with that. I don't know. This feels a little intense, but I'm going to give it a crack. So I'm doing that. And I also decided that I was really into the hilltop hoods this morning on my walk. So, just keeping the pendulum.
Look at you, fucking gangster.
I am. I was like Macklemore and Hilltop Woods, and then I was like, came and followed them because I'm like, I want to go to a live concert again. I haven't been since I was like, it was another lifetime, and it was like big day out, and I was cooler back then. But I need my glasses this time to be able to see the stage. But anyway.
Oh, but still cool, just slightly less cool. And glasses are cool these days. You'd be like a hipster.
Well, yeah. Totally. Yeah, I'll make it work.
Yes. So clove oil.
Clove. Okay, I have clove.
Yes.
Because it's really awful. But I'm doing okay now. But
yeah. The pain. Hot as shit as an oil to put on.
So do you put it actually on the gum or like on the cheek?
No, both. I would probably dilute it and put it on the jaw, and then I would go straight on the gums. It's probably not recommended to use straight, but I would because I'm a pirate. So
you're living on the edge. Yeah, that's like we have a pirate ship in our household. Like, yeah, there's a lot of swearing.
Yeah,
it's a lot of, and there's a mutiny every now and then.
And you're outnumbered by 2 boys.
Totally. But I have Ruby, the dog now, who she's not interested. But anyway, she's making me feel like it's.
I've got the Brown here.
Hey, Brown. Oh, Ruby. She might come over. I've had to go and get mesh. And Ruby, come here. Oh, look, I've got to do it now. Come here. This is Ruby.
Oh,
she's not such a little dog, are you?
Don't care.
No. That's it. I wondered if my hair was starting to look like hers, like the orangey part the other day, and had a moment. But I've gotten, went to Bunnings. Well, actually, no, my dad went to Bunnings. Let's keep it all very honest. I wasn't going. And I've got this new mesh to put over the areas of the holes because I've tried putting a pooey net. That doesn't seem to work, or there's just still shit all over the yard. And she's committed. So we'll try that.
I like that she's committed to her role in digging.
She's found it.
Yeah.
She's can't stop, won't stop.
So you said earlier that you are a mindset and wellness coach.
Mindset motivation. Well, I am technically a wellness coach. A food and wellness coach was what I was trained in or have the qualification in. Yeah. But naturally found, as you do, the pivot and follow the crumbs, that it was definitely more mindset and motivation that was because back in my PT days, I was a personal trainer for about 7 years. I found that all the conversations that I was having with my clients were going to promote real lifelong and lasting change were actually far more to do with the stories that they were telling themselves and that they were carrying and the limiting beliefs that they were holding on to that were causing a myriad of issues within their life rather than what they were actually eating. It was the stories, it's always, what comes first, the chicken or the egg. And in this case, it's, the story that the chicken had heard about that was, holding them back. So that's what led into that path. And it sort of morphed into, it just keeps going in all the beautiful directions because the mindset is the key to so much.
Yeah.
And how successful you want to feel within your life.
Yeah. So that wasn't where you started your career at whatever age. So how did that even come about? And you just mentioned that you're a PT. So is that what you started off doing and now you've translated that into something, so much more incredible?
Oh, thank you. You know what? I feel like it's a long story. I never set out to be what I've become in any aspect. It's always just been doing the next right thing, taking the opportunity that presents itself. So like after school, it was sort of like I morphed into like promotions and was doing a little bit of acting and like all of that sort of stuff. And then from there I went into sort of marketing and into sales, and then it went back to promotions, and then I sort of my anxiety hit an all-time high, and I was like doing all the wrong things and making all the risky choices for myself and going against all of the grain, and my anxiety was just peaking and basically bounced along rock bottom so many times that it was like so many like bathroom floor moments where it was either evolve or repeat. And I pretty much locked myself into like I shut myself off from like the whole world that I was living within. And it's not to say that the people that I was friends with at that time were doing anything wrong. It just wasn't right for me. And so I had to stop answering the phones on the weekends. I had to completely change my life. And instead of getting home at 5 a.m., I started getting up at 5 a.m. and started finding healing for my mind through moving my body. And then once I was like, oh, this is like really amazing stuff, like the endorphins and how it helped me change my life, I then wanted to be able to replicate that and help others do the same. And then that's how I went into personal training. And then, and it's just sort of been like, it's never been, oh, I'm going to wake up one day and go, I know what I'm going to do. Like, it's just never like, hats off to the heroes that can do that, because we need them, and thank you. But I'm just not one of them. I think it puts so much pressure on ourselves to always have a plan or know where we're going, because that just takes the mystery out of it. I think I like to, my mum says I'm the most incredibly impulsive person that she knows. Thanks, Mum. But like, what does that even mean? But yeah, so it's all just about doing the next right thing, I think, or the next thing that feels right, because there's no right or wrong. It's just opportunities and options. And she's standing in her own wee outside now. You're a hot mess. Like, honestly, someone's getting a bath.
Can we just clarify?
But yes.
You're talking about your dog, not your
mum. The dog. No. Mom, get inside. You're letting yourself down. No, it's Ruby. She doesn't like to go outside and wee on the grass if it's been raining. And so, yeah, anyway,
Precious.
Classy.
Oh, that's so good. Awesome. So you mentioned earlier that you are a solo mum of 2 boys.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that on your own?
I was 16 weeks pregnant with Oki when we separated, and the separation was my decision. I didn't really have an option at that point in time, in terms of, if you ask the universe for a sign, then you have to be willing to listen. And it was pretty much like being slapped in the face with a wet fish. Like, the universe was speaking and I had to listen and act. And so Oki's now, he turned 2 in May. So it'll be 3 years in December. So 2.5 years. God, that's a weird way of doing math. So, yeah. It's like, and then
you can do maths like this, however you do it, it's fine.
I still count on my fingers. I'm totally okay with that.
I mean,
it's a reliable source.
There's a reason we have fingers.
Oh, and the teachers at school who said you need to learn maths because you will not be carrying a calculator around with you everywhere you go. Joke's on them, because we do. And totally fine. But yes, the boys and I feel like now I'm just starting to, like, we're settling into a nice groove. Like, the whole bringing a newborn home with no partner, like, I followed my dad into the house. I remember that day, and I was just like, this is not how it's meant to be. Like, it's like, I had to check myself so much there and lower the bar of what I was going to be capable of as a mum, and what was necessary, and what is probably the whole precipice behind the good enough mum, because I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, and there's a fucking list for everything into how to do this and how to do that. And I mean, survival and a couple of laughs along the way was pretty much my, prerequisite for getting us through the days. And I mean, they're 2 really happy kids. Like, Arch is definitely my eldest. He is an anxious kid. I think he always has been. So that has been a lot to manage. But I get it. Like, apple tree, and he's here. So, yeah, but it's, you know, we fumble our way through.
Yeah.
They're cool.
So I would love to dig in a little bit more. You said that when you ask the universe for a sign and it gives you one, you've got to take note.
Yeah.
Which I think is such an important thing. And I think a lot of the time we kind of just ask somebody to tell us what to do in a situation. What did that situation look like for you? And what was it that you just had to pay attention to at the time? Like, what was the situation where you just went, okay?
Yeah. So, there's a few. The thing is, I think there was 3 big instances in 48 hours that basically had, and I try and not speak too much about my ex-husband when he's not actually here to be able to defend himself, although I don't think he would defend himself. I think he'd just go, I didn't realize it was that big of a deal. But there's a couple of things that when you're in a relationship, and we were in it, like Oki was IVF, we were very committed to that, and it had been a long fertility struggle. So I didn't wake up that day knowing that this was something that I was going to ask for a separation that day. That was not on the radar. However, there'd been so many times where we'd spoken about, and it had reached that, like, you smack into the wall and then bounce back sort of thing, and you regroup and try again and try again and try again. And when so much of staying in a relationship or a situation, or whether it be a friendship, a work relationship, or anything, the reasons that you stay and you keep soldiering on, like for instance, say one of them might have been, you've got to keep this family together for the children. And then when you realize that for me, one of the big things was that this isn't helping the children. This is actually going to affect the children. And it was a couple of things my eldest said to me that day, you know, that just crushed me. And then the fact that I was sitting in bed that night and I was so furious that everything that had transpired in the 48 hours, that I was so mad. And you know, when you've got adrenaline and anxiety and all of that running through you, obviously I've got a little baby in utero who's experiencing all of that. And this was not the first rodeo. Like, this has happened. And I was just like, this out of body experience was like, no. This is enough. This is enough. Like, you're not staying for them. This is hurting them. And I waddled in there and called it. And that was that. And that is still, honestly, I don't know where the strength came from to do that. I don't know but it was just like, this is the moment. And I just threw the doona cover back and I waddled in there, and all I could say was, I can't. And there was just I've never doubted that decision for a minute. Yeah. Since that day, there has not been 1 second where I've gone, oh, but what if, or maybe I shouldn't have. No, the writing was on the wall. It was done. But that's not to say that everything that's unfolded from then has been easy breezy, because it has not. It was just basically opened a Pandora's box of everything else that was going to follow. But I really believe that the path is always the path, no matter what. And we spend so much time seesawing on, is this the right decision? Is this the right time? I don't know. What are the, no, or positive thinking our way over and out of the reality of the situation, and the reality of people's true colors. And because people show us, like, they honestly show us all day, every day. It's what we choose to make of what the picture they're presenting us that defines our reality. And so that for me was, wow, you really can't, no, this is what it is, and you need to deal with that. But yeah, the flow-on effect from that has been, definitely had a shitload of absolutely ridiculous moments where I don't think, well, you just wouldn't even comprehend that a human heart or person can go through that. Like, and my story is not a unique one by any means. Like when you start talking, women come out of the woodwork and start going, oh my God, this happened to me too, or I understand, and this and this and this. People go through far worse or like catastrophic events, or like trauma, I heard was defined as trauma is anything that we weren't prepared for. Now, that can encompass such a myriad of things. And so everyone is going through their own version of traumatic experiences each and every day. So I guess there's no comparison in terms of, if you're struggling, you're struggling. But what I've learnt from that, and the life that the boys and I now have, and the level at which my anxiety is now at, and everything else that's flowed on, still wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. So if somebody is in that situation, and whether it be a personal relationship, a work relationship, a friendship relationship, where they're kind of towing that line of, do I stay in this? Do I leave from this? Have you got any advice on how to actually, like, if you don't have that one defining moment that constantly, that just makes you pack the doona and waddle in and go, I can't. How do they work through that to get an answer instead of sitting there in this limbo?
If you're asking the question, that's a pretty good answer in itself.
Yeah.
Always. Like if you're asking, should I stay or should I go? Or is this friendship healthy for me or not? Generally, the healthy relationships and friendships and work experiences don't require that sort of resolve and that instance. However, there's always, we know, like no matter, it doesn't have to be a catastrophic lightning bolt event. We will always know what we need to know when we need to know it.
Yeah.
And until that moment comes, spending time on each side of the fence is only robbing you of either creating a great relationship where you are now, because you may just be like going on fallback patterns, because I'm a massive advocate for people staying in, like I've had different friends say, oh, I'm not sure. And I'm like, my advice to them is always, if there is one iota, what is that word? Like little bit of hope.
No, shred.
Shred. If there is one shred of hope, and that you can say that you as a unit can save this relationship, then by all means move hell or high water to save it or do the work. But if you're staying in that relationship is damaging your soul and your heart, and then it doesn't matter. Like you've just got to do what you've got to do in the greatest interest of yourself, your heart, your soul, and everyone involved. And sometimes that is to leave. But it's also, if you're just, all relationships, friendships, work relationships, and all of that are going to go through difficult and tumultuous times. That's how we grow, but it's how we relate to each other, and what we learn from that, how we merge together to face that. That's what's going to give you things that are going to bond you as a couple, or not. Like it's not all, and a lot of it's like past programming.
Yeah.
Like are you looking to bolt because of, your attachment style? The way that, do you need to do some reparenting work, which by the way fascinates me, and be able to self-soothe, and give yourself what you need, because it's not our partner's job to make us happy. And so many people I know are on the fence because their partner's just not making them happy, or they're not doing this or they're not doing that. And it's like, you've got to sort of get really fucking honest with yourself and go, well, is it actually their job to do this? Like, if you had a full cup and you were giving yourself everything that you need within your life, would what they're doing matter as much? Like this issue, you know what I mean? So there's it's not just a one size fits all. Like if it feels like this, then you shouldn't do that. You've got to have that self inquiry. You've got to get Ruby, I'll just yell at the dog again. You've got to get really honest with yourself and, you know, do the work. And it's so cliche when people say you've got to do the work. It's like, what is this work that everyone's talking about? It's like, where do I find the book? It's getting clear, asking yourself, getting curious. Get curious with yourself about why you're feeling this way, why that's important, what's coming up for you. And if you don't know what questions to ask, there are a bazillion amazing coaches out there. There are great therapists. There, you know, Instagram is rife with people that you can look at, read their content, and then apply it to your life, like, where appropriate. Obviously, there's also some dingbats, but you know, if it's aligning and getting you curious, then follow the crumbs and see. But I really do believe that you'll know when you know. Like, you'll know, and you can ask for all the signs, but if you're not willing to see them, you know, then it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's roadworks, really.
Yeah.
It's just noise. Yeah. But we can also make signs out of anything.
Absolutely.
Like,
if you want to believe something enough, you can make it true.
Yeah. I mean, look at the internet. You can honestly find evidence to support anything you wish to believe in this lifetime. You absolutely can, but you've got to, in order to receive a sign that you actually want to act upon, first you have to have faith, and that has to be part of your belief system. And it very much is for me. I'm very much in communication with the universe and my environment and all of that at all times, which, you know, leads to some pretty interesting conversations, like with people who are not. And they're like, I'm just like, just hang on, I'm just going to tune into that for a second. And they're like, what is she doing? And I'm like, you know, like, but that's how I feel. Like, our body knows. And you can ask yourself, like, it doesn't have to be all like, hang on, I'm going to pull an abundance card and we're just going to lay my crystals out. Like, I'm not talking about that. You can ask yourself if you're at a crossroads, right? And you have a question for it. So, okay, so let's bring it back to food. So if you're looking at eating a big meat pie, or you're looking at eating organic chicken sausage roll or something, like, I'm just not making them very healthy. I'm just making them, you know, so we're not like salad and something, because everyone knows one's better than the other. Okay, so you've got two things, and now I've made it too complicated for myself, but you're like, okay. You're like, okay, so you ask yourself, like, option A, what do I feel like for lunch? And you go, okay, do I feel like this pie? And you'll get a feeling within your body. And then you go, okay, registered. And then you go, okay, do I feel like the sausage roll? One will feel expansive and one will feel light, and you'll gravitate towards it more. And one will feel heavier, dense, and just not the same. It actually will. Like, try it with anything. Obviously, on a broader range of things, it's like, you know, should I go in there and speak to my boss about this situation? And one will feel constrictive, and one will feel, you know, expansive. Should I stay in this relationship? And, you know, and then there's fear. Oh my God, it's a whole beautiful rabbit hole that you've just got to play with it and get to know yourself.
Yeah,
and how you're feeling within your body.
I think I really liked what you said earlier about, you know, when people show you their true colours, believe them.
Oh yeah.
Because people do, and it's funny. It's like, particularly people who, you know, might not be serving us in life, we try and make excuses for their behaviour, or, you know, I don't know. It's like they keep showing you who they really are, yet for some reason you just don't quite believe them.
Yeah. Oh, they're just doing it because they actually really do care about me. They just have like a fear of love, or they're just shy, or, you know, they're just having a bad day. And all of these things might be true, but that is also not your problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a really important one for people to understand and set boundaries around that as well. You know, I think so often we just aren't confident enough in ourselves to set boundaries for people. And whether that's in our relationship, whether that's with our kids, whether that's in a job, people are just too scared to set boundaries, and people will treat you how you let them treat you.
Totally. Repeatedly. Like we've got to take ownership for how, like we've got to examine what we tolerate. And there's this, boundaries are one of my favorite things at the moment because, and they're always evolving and they're always changing. And I know especially like within relationships and how we show up, like we have to set the standard for what is okay for us. And there's such a lack mentality and a fear and a scarcity mentality in when it comes to that balk in setting a boundary is that, from my experience, what has stopped me from, you know, building a motherfucking wall where I needed one and just be like, hey, I'm over here, is the fact that, well, what if I do this and love doesn't show up? Or what if I do this and no one else, you know, like it cuts me off from everyone? And it's that scarcity that it's gone. Like, is this going to be the end of the thing? But actually it's not. It's not like a, you know, a massive wall. There's doors and there's opportunities, but it stops the wrong people from, you know, encroaching on what it is that you need to protect and govern and honor within your life. And the right people will find a way to respect that. And the people who have a problem with your boundaries are the very people who you need them for. Like the right people won't care. But, you know, no two things can exist in the same space at the same time. Like, this is my giant jar of water. Like, you want to welcome, reduce, reuse, recycle. Like, if you want to welcome the job of your dreams or the right man or friendship or mentor or whoever it is in your life, but you keep and they would stand here. If you, or like energetically speaking, even if you have this person who's not really serving you there and you don't have a boundary around it and they're taking, how are you, no one else can fit in there. Like, you've actually got to away.
Yeah.
Before you can welcome something else in. And that's scary, because what if that doesn't happen? But it's like, well, what if that good doesn't come towards you? But I mean, universally, it has to. Like, if you are setting up space for that, it will, as long as you're honoring your boundary and protecting yourself and that space from anyone who's not going to, you know, align with that new life that you're wanting to create for yourself.
Yeah.
Now I'm thirsty. Just looked at it.
That's fine. I think as well, on what you were talking about before, when we were talking about, you know, staying in a relationship, if there's a way that you can do your own work and do work together to make that work. I think what's really important too is to sometimes in a relationship, and that doesn't need to be a marriage, it could just be your friendship. You know, when you get to that point where you're getting frustrated or angry or you just don't want that friendship or that relationship anymore, is to actually work out whether have you changed or have they changed, or is that how they've always been? Like, I think sometimes, you know, we get so frustrated with people, we get so angry or so annoyed, but if you actually think about it, they've always been like that. They haven't changed. You've just changed your boundaries around it. You've just changed your ability to accept that behavior. So you've got to take some responsibility for that yourself. You can't just say, well, you know, you never undo the dishwasher. Well, they've never unpacked the dishwasher, and you've always accepted that as appropriate behavior.
Yeah.
You can't blow up about it now.
No.
So
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, to recognize your part, because no relationship breaks down because of one person. So
Nope.
A friendship, a work relationship, none of that breaks down because of one person. Everybody contributes to the breakdown of a relationship, and you need to acknowledge your part in that. And
totally.
I think not only just, you know, because it's the right thing to do, but also for further relationships, whatever they look like, you need to understand what part you played in that, so that you don't, like you said, repeat these behaviors. and cause that same thing again, because often you will see people and they tend to have a type, and you know, whether that's a friendship type or a job type or a relationship type, it's like the universe is going to keep giving you that lesson until you learn it. So that type is going to keep coming into your life until you
totally
the way that you're interacting with that, or accepting that, or not putting boundaries around that, and then, you know, then things can change. So on that, you are probably a very, very different person to the person that you were when you met your ex and came into that relationship and created life together.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, do you think now your type has changed? Do you think now the next person that you welcome into your life for a relationship, what do you think are the red flags or the deal breakers of things that you would notice straight away about somebody? And also, what are the boundaries that you would straight up put in place to make sure that you're honoring who you are now?
Yeah, good question. So I have noticed that, like, I've done more work and learnt more about relationships in the past 2.5 years than I ever believed since, like, not being in one. I have not been in another relationship than I ever could have whilst in one, because we're all like, oh, and we just don't want to see it. So that this time has been a gift in terms of seeing exactly like where my attachment style had been very like, I wanted to be loved so badly. My sense of self was really shit. Like I was desperate. I was all the shame and the guilt around all the mistakes that I had made. Like I lost my license for 3 years at one stage, like way back, like like 12 years ago or something now, like, and all of the shame and the guilt over the bad decisions or the decisions that I made that didn't reflect lightly well on who I was as a person. I had so much shame and guilt around so much of who I was in that time because of the thought process that I was holding around that. It wasn't just I've done something bad. It was like I am bad. So looking for people who I just wanted to be accepted and feel loved and feel safe. Now, what that would look like for me now is very, very different. I notice that I had probably, swallowing. Apparently that's a hard thing now. I've learned about wound mates and soulmates. So a wound mate is someone who feels like, for me, it would be, and it's been the same sort of characters, and they're not bad people. Like, it's just evoked the same sense of in me, like me looking for approval, me seeking, them out, me wanting them to validate me so much, and me constantly being in a spiral of, it's like those real passionate, toxic, chemically, like things where it's like high and low and high and low, and it's like, do they like me? I'm not sure. And then you'll get that dopamine hit. Totally. That's exactly what has happened. So now if something feels like that, I'm out. Like, it's showing me that it's a pattern. It's not, oh, this is love, or this feels like this, that must be good. That's not a good signal for me. This means that, oh, this is feeding that old wound that I carry about me needing to be validated by them. So what I will be looking for in the future is a calmness, like an equal meeting of, minds and hearts and conversation. That's not like I've always or had always hidden who, like, this side of myself, which is very much all about like awareness of self, personal development. I mean, I fucking write women's personal development books. Like, I'm not hiding from that element from myself anymore. Yeah, I've never been in a relationship. Now I'm having conversations with men who are open to that, but it's also weeding them out for me pretty quick smart. Like, some men are just like, whoa, I don't know what that is. I don't want to borrow it. And that's like, no, bye, Felicia. Like, thanks. Like, that's cool. They don't have to. That may not be their jam, and that's totally okay. But I've also now learnt that the big thing is, because I just don't want to have to wonder anymore, like, and worry about where I stand with someone. There was like a meme going around that if they like you, you'll know. If they don't, you'll be confused.
Yeah.
And so that if I'm confused, I'm out. So it's like that boundary. It's like all cards on the table at all times, and from me too. And that, I think, is because I haven't really progressed past that. That's going to be a massive thing. But the main undertone will be a sense of calmness. Now, I have to check myself as well, because like I'm like chatting to a nice person at the moment, say, and my gut instinct is to like over deliver, like, but I'm like, no, where you just got to pull back and just trust and let it all, and that's a massive learning thing for me as well. Like, so it's constantly that whole thing, getting curious about that feeling that would come up for me, like it did in past relationships, that was basically the undertone that I thought there was a problem with me, when no, it's just there's this feeling arising. Instead of feeding into that, it's and requiring someone else to like level that out for me, I'm finding ways where I can self-soothe and have conversations with people and lean in rather than, and just trust. Yeah. So that's what's sort of coming up.
And
now
the right person's going to keep showing up. If they're the right person, just going to keep showing up for you and to you. Whereas, the wrong person's going to pretty easily just stroll on off if they're not meant to.
Yeah.
And I think as well,
that's it.
When there's kids involved as well, it brings that extra level of, I don't know, I think protection around not only yourself and your own heart, but the fact that there's other people involved. And if you are not the right person, and I'm not 100% sure of that, don't come into this space. Like, just...
Yeah.
Because it's not just about you.
No, that's it. And it's the energy that this is taking, like this conversation or anything. If that energy is not adding to my life, which is then adding to theirs, then it's subtracting and I'm out. Like, I don't have time for that, which is probably why I haven't gone on any dates yet. But it's coming. I know it. It's coming. But, oh no, I've had a coffee. But it's all just gathering data and having experiences and slowly putting myself out there. But I'm also so guarded because I don't have a lot of time away from the boys because they're still so little, that my time is so precious when they're not with me. I'm not going to run the risk of I'll just go and see willy-nilly, and just, why not? We'll just catch up for coffee here and this. That's like an hour that I'm not getting back if you're a dick. So I'm, I'm sorry. Whereas the right person, it won't feel like that. And eventually they'll be invited into the inner madness of the Thunderdome that is this. But I haven't introduced anyone to the boys yet. And I know they're craving it. Like, they're starting, Arch is asking the questions, like, do you have a boyfriend? And I'm like, no. And all of that. And he's like, well, are you going to get one? And I'm like, mate, if it was that easy to just, where do you think mummy's going to go and find a boyfriend? He's like,
Kmart.
Yeah, just go on the shops. All right, I'll just pop out. I'll be back in a second. I'll wear my glasses. So that... I think they will thrive. They're two little, very masculine orientated, rough and tumble boys. They have a dad. They don't need a dad. But to have that masculine energy around, I think at times would be really cool for them. So I'm excited for that. But I will be very cautious and conscious about who can have a seat at the table when that time comes.
Yeah, and so you should be.
Yeah. It's not a hell yes, it's a fuck no. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think I think that comes with age and experience too, doesn't it? You know, actually taking
Yeah.
that hard line on, if this is not a hell yes, it's a fuck no. Like,
Totally.
Like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's okay, or, you know, it's all right for now.
Yeah.
Because just like you were saying before, that person who's there for now is taking up the space where forever could be. You need to get them out of the space.
Out of my way. Out of the way. No. And I mean, that's it. And my whole view, like, I've been, like, I follow some amazing people, like the holistic psychologist, I think is a great one on Instagram. And there's like living in love. Don't quote me on that one, because that could be of many different things if I've got that thing wrong. But the notion that there's not necessarily the one, I really am starting to lean into that. There's many people that we can choose to do life with who will add different flavor and complement us in different ways. There's a variety of people, and subscribing to the scarcity of there's one person, I'm just not down with that. So that just feels like, well, then shit, I better be looking, and I better be on really vigilant.
Panic, doesn't
you know,
it? Creates panic around that.
That's it. And I just don't want to do that. But I 100% have moments and times where I long for someone, and I long for that connection. And like, I'm not all just like, woo, double gunning, like high kicking around the house going, look at all my space. It's not like that. I would love to be in love. I would love to have someone to share that with, but I'm trying to be really conscious around enjoying and making the most of the time where it's just me and the boys, because once there is someone in here, like, I'm going to have to share all the things. And I'm just like, no, like at the moment, like we will obviously, for the right person, be so willing to compromise in all the areas. But there's a big difference between being alone and being lonely.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so we dance on that.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I think it's really important to be able to be comfortable by yourself as well,
and
enjoy your own company and not feel like you need somebody else. It's nice to have them. It's great to want that. But I think you need to feel really comfortable in the fact that you don't need anybody else.
No. No. Because that'll affect who you attract as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, none of us need anyone. We're able to cope with way more than we realize. And you can get love and connection from a variety, like so many people. Like, I have such beautiful friends, and they're all like, I have different friends for when I want to be like, you know, footloose and fancy free. And then I have different, like, and do like ratchet shit, like with like, I'm home by 10 o'clock if I ever go out. Like, honestly, that's late. So when I say ratchet shit, I mean like silly things, like just I'm not pulling all-nighters. That just doesn't happen. I'm sipping.
Like putting makeup on and getting out of there and having 3 champagnes. Totally.
And it's like, I've got in my fridge, actually, I should tell you, I'll tag you in a few of these. It's like organic, preservative-free wine that, you know, is delicious, and it's all naturally fermented. And so that's my drink of choice. So it's not like I'm, you know, like, woo, shots. It's
tequila.
It's just not happening. Yeah. Worst. And I have like my mum friends, and they're a really amazing community who we've called in and rallied around. And then I've got like my online friends, like you and I like communicate quite a bit, and there's always ways for connection if we're open to it. So it's about cultivating that and putting yourself in the path where that's possible to have that, if that's what you want as well. Like, I mean, it'd be easy to sit at home and go like, well, I've got no friends. It's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Like, who can you reach out to today? Who can you communicate with? Where can you go? Where can you put yourself in a really awkward situation, like turning up to an art event? Well, I wouldn't, because I'm just not that cultured. But, you know, like, you know, whatever it might be, like a beach clean. Like, my friend runs beach cleans and she does amazing things. find what interests you and go there. And that's how you sort of can fill your days and, you know, add more life to your days rather than coming from that, what I don't have yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if people want to work with you, how do they do that?
Mm-hmm. The like Instagram's where I hang out the most. I love the gram. I'm all about it. And my handle is ktdean_yourwildlife.
I will tag.
Or my website. Oh, thanks. My website is ktdean.com.au, and you can book in there if you want to do start a mentoring or coaching session package. You can also get my books there. And I also have a podcast called Simply Complicated, which is awesome. And you've been on there. By the way, that was such a good episode. Where, you know, it's a great way to be able to give content and have conversations and connect. Because, yeah, I am fortunate, and we are fortunate enough to be in a world and a realm where we do get to connect with so many amazing people who are just excelling and love and passionate about their field. So it's nice to be able to bring them to other people's like ears.
So yes. Something that just popped into my head then is you do a lot of work with Ashley Vines's
I do.
tribe.
Yeah.
What do you do with them, and how did that come about?
Sure. So I am I am their resident wellness coach. And so I do live chats in their forum. It's usually like every fortnight. And there's about 46,000 women in there at the moment. She's got quite the community. It's beautiful. So I started with them when back in my personal training days, I used to run their Newcastle location for the Ashley Bynes Bikini Body Challenge when it was that. Then I started managing all of the locations for them in Australia and New Zealand. So we had 85 locations that I would oversee with them and for them, which was amazing. And then I had Archer, which meant that I couldn't be working 65 hours a week anymore, but came back with them because a lot of the work that I would do with the women in the forums was writing, and it was about mindset and doing all the posts with all the team and mentoring the team. So I came back as their wellness coach in that capacity and filmed a bunch of webinars, and we just keep working together. I love Ashley. She's amazing. And there's so much more to her than so many people get to see. And I'm glad that she's now got her lessons podcast, and I'm glad that she's doing a few more outside interviews because people are getting to see like the depth to her, which I don't think many people did for a really long time, thanks media. And yes,
she didn't share a lot, and whether that was
because
she was a bit scared of backlash or people judging her or whatever it was. But I think she, right or wrong, give out a very just
totally.
I don't know, I'm just a attractive girl with a great body who has a program, and you know, millions of people want to look like me, so they buy it. And it just, I think she did give that vibe, and probably didn't give a lot of her depth, so people could actually see who she was. So
yeah. And that's come in time as well. Like the Ashley that started her programs was like young. She was like 21, 22 maybe. And now she's 30 years old, I think, and she's a mum. And so that depth has come and she's grown, and it's through the mistakes and the everything that she's had to overcome, and the trolls and the online bullying and so much of that she has, you know, had all like expanded all of these new dimensions and things like that. So, I mean, it would be, I can't imagine making those sorts of, the sorts of mistakes that I was making, and, you know, like, and the way that the people were coming at Ashley in such a public way, like that's a learning curve and a half right there for any human. So watching, and the way that their business pivots as well is really inspiring. It's very cool how they can, you know, they're constantly morphing as well as to what the market needs and what the people need. And mostly what I see now is what their girls need, which is how I come in. And Levi, who is he's honestly like the smartest person I've ever spoken to. He is a walking Google. Brown. So seeing what they all are doing and morphing is really cool. Yeah. It's very multidimensional.
And I think, you know, like anybody, she's going through growth. She's making mistakes. Just unfortunately for her, it's a very public forum.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Brown, it's okay. It's just the postman, mate. Seriously, overreact much? Yes, so that's really interesting and great that you still get to be part of that in, you know, a capacity now that actually is within the realms of where you want to go and where you currently are in your business as well, which is super cool.
Totally. I'm so grateful that they've always made a space for me within their companies, and like they find something. I guess I do have a really good relationship with a lot of the girls through their forums. I've been there since day dot in some capacity. Like, my face is not a strange face to have there, but yeah, they've definitely moved into a more holistic approach. And it's so broad, all the different things that they offer now, which I think is really cool. But yeah, I definitely look after that little side of it. But Levi's even coming into that now too. He's like honestly the mind and body guy on Instagram, but he's like an NLP coach. He is a fitness specialist. He's a naturopath. He's a nutritionist, all fully qualified. And so, yeah, he's overseeing all of that, which is really boggling. I don't know where he stores all that information, but it's up there, or it's in a cloud.
Yeah.
Like, where is the cloud? Just quietly on the...
Who knows? It's on the line.
It's on the World Wide Web somewhere.
It is. It's on the intranet.
Yes.
Somebody.
I'll plug us in.
Yes.
Remember that? How it would do the...
Intranet. Yeah. And
Mr. Google. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Hang up the phone. I'm trying to use the internet.
Kids today will not have any of that. They don't understand. They do not understand
the struggles that we had to go through.
No, that's it. And ad breaks and all of it. It's like crazy. I often think about that. Like,
ridiculous.
Oh. Yeah, going to Video Easy?
Oh.
Like, they don't have to do that. That was a thing, and everyone would be arguing over what video they could get and
then they
what's going to be watched first.
Have the DVD you want in stock, and so you're like, well, when's it coming back? It's supposed to be back today. It says overnight, so where is it?
I know. It's a full thing. All those shelves, but nothing behind them. Like the
wall of lies. That's all it is.
Lies. Oh, broken dreams. The wall of broken dreams. We're showing our age, Shen. We're spring chickens.
I know. So,
oh dear.
Becoming Brave is available now.
Yes.
I bought that, and
Messy will be out soon.
I bought 2 copies of that because I thought I'm going to have to give this book to somebody at some point. Haven't actually reached the point where I've found that person, but something, you know, when you just, you know, sometimes people are in, you know, you have those friends who are in crisis and you just think, I wish I had this book to give to you, but I'm not giving you mine. So I bought 2 copies and I've got 1 copy up my sleeve. So Becoming Brave is available now. Messy is when?
Coming soon. I don't know.
Okay.
It's in the pitching process.
Okay.
So the traditional publishing route is a slow burn. Yeah. So I'm attempting to go down that at the moment, but I've given myself like I'm going to wait for another 2 weeks. And if it's not, then I'm going to work with an indie publisher and I'll bring her out because I want her out before the end of the year. Because by that stage, The Good Enough Mum will be done. So I'm 10,000 words into that too. But they're coming. They're all like a really nice continuation on from each other. Yeah. And The Good Enough Mum obviously will be more tailored to parent or mothers. but messy will be for any woman who is tired of carrying around the weight of all the things and wants to live lighter and give way less forks about everything.
Yeah.
So it's like 54 blog style pieces in there, 54 different lessons. It's really cool.
Awesome. I'm also very excited about the Good Enough Mum, because I feel like, particularly with this world of social media that we live in now, there's so much just picture perfect stuff, you know, especially with, there's so many mum blogs, and you know, and they're lovely. I love looking at their beautiful photos of their kids who are wearing white and their clothes
all the linen
white.
Yeah.
Like, how are their clothes white? Is that, did you Photoshop that? Did they just get dressed like 3 minutes ago? I mean, why aren't they punching each other? I don't understand.
It's like Thunderdome when I go out with my friend. Like yesterday, I sort of have this, like, I said we've got to call it Wednesday, like, thug clubs, because our kids were just like at each other. There was like pencil in the eye, there was hair pulling, there was like, it was not, there was plenty of primary colors. And then I've got some of my other beautiful friends where there is not a primary color among us. They, you know what, they sometimes, they just do. Like, the little girls are all making beautiful sandcastles. My children will steamroll that. I think it's just, but you know, that's not our reality. And I think that, like, everyday reality, I just am so tired, and through the conversations that I have with women about that, if it doesn't look like this or like this, it's wrong. And it's just, it's not like that. I just want to put the power back into women's hands and realize that good enough is totally fine. Like, lower the bar. And it doesn't mean half-assing motherhood. Like, I'm not suggesting that for a second, because our children are our most important resource, and like, we love them. Like, hello. I'm not suggesting for a second that we don't feed them or like half-ass any of that. Like, that's not, let's lower the bar and stop comparing and just trust ourselves. Highlight, fuck. No. You know? Like, that's not real. That's not sustainable. Everyone loses their shit at their children. It's not the end of the world if you do. Like, so what? Like, everyone, like, the pressure, like, even for school clothes. Like, one of my friends has one of her children are going to a specific preschool where there's not allowed to be any fluoro. There's not allowed to be any labels on their shirts. There's not allowed to be any brand names from this list. And I'm just like, what? Like, it's too much. Everything's so regulated within every aspect of the mothering journey and so many aspects of life. I just think it's horseshit. I just don't think we turned out okay. And I mean, I'm such a believer of 80-20. Like, 80% of the time, if you're doing the best that you can, then we have to have that 20% where we're modeling for our children what it's like to be human, because so much of what the guilt and the shame that I had to deal with was the fact that I was completely imperfect, and my mum is perfect. Like, she never did anything wrong, like, honestly, but living up to that was so damaging for me. And she was the best mother on the entire planet, but it set me up with such unrealistic expectations. Like, we can cry in front of our children. We can swear, like, occasionally, as long as it's not like, well, who cares? Like, honestly, they're going to be resilient. We're breeding, like, resilient humans. That's what we want. We want strength. We want them to be able to feel safe with us. And how are they going to do that unless they see us fail and stumble and
swear.
You know, get up, swear. Like, I said
shit the other day, and she goes, "Mum, it's not a very good word. Is there a different word you could think of to say instead of that?" I'm like,
they know.
Yeah.
They're cool.
There probably is. I mean, it's also probably going to be from the choice words category.
Totally. And that's the thing. I mean, children are so much smarter than we give them credit for. They can show and practice discernment when it comes to these sorts of things. Like, I would love to see women going to bed not feeling guilty about what they could have done better that day. Because if everyone's alive and they're happy, then, or not even happy, if my kids aren't pissed at me several times a day, then I'm not doing my job. Like, honestly, if someone's not angry at me, then
We haven't set any boundaries.
I haven't set any boundaries. Like I'm not there to be their bestie yet. That will come. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel protected. I want them to grow up and not be a dick. Like I want them to treat people well, and I want them to feel confident in themselves and all of that. But within that, they can sit on the table if they want to sit on the table. Like it's not, like it's, if you don't want to sit on the chair and you want to sit on the table.
They'll learn that when you go to a restaurant, you don't sit at the table.
You don't sit on the table. Like this is a home thing. Like, there's things like that. It's just, let's just tone it down. Like Taylor Swift, you need to calm down.
Yes.
Like you need to calm down. It's just how I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah. I will get it. I will make sure that a clinical psychologist and people read it so that beforehand, so that it will be certified, that it's not going to be damaging. It's just about, let's just chill.
Yeah. And I think I'm seeing a lot more though of the less than perfect, it's okay to, it's good enough. I think I'm seeing a lot more mums and just people in general trying to bring reality back to social media and not get on their Instagram every day with, I don't know, looking perfect with a full face of makeup and their hair perfectly done and the house perfectly spotless. Like, I think there's a lot more people who are trying to keep it real and be real and talk about the fact that they've had a shitful day or their kids are assholes or we're actually eating KFC for dinner. So
totally.
Sorry, not sorry.
Not sorry.
So
that's it. And that is nice. I'm definitely seeing that as well. I think, yeah. And so it should be. Like I have nothing against social media. I don't follow people who, like I follow people, a variety of different people. Like there's people who help me grow and make me think that don't necessarily, I'm not aligned with everything that they're saying yet. Like, but I'm intrigued by what they're saying. And then, but anyone whose material or pictures, because that's all it is, it's pictures, don't evoke a feeling of that, whatever feeling it is that I'm trying to evoke, then I just unfollow. Like, and I also do the work around that. Like, why is this triggering me, I wonder? And then it's just like, oh, this is just annoying. And then it's just like, go, like, carry on.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you got to own your space, like, as well. Like, it's really just pictures, but it's also such a beautiful way to connect and to learn. And I love it. I love Instagram. I feel I'm on Instagram more than any other platform. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I have no shame or guilt around that. Yeah. At all.
No, I think it's a great platform too. I think it's an amazing way to connect with lots of people and I think learn. It's given people such a platform to learn about so much that they wouldn't have been able to, find easily until now. So I think it's an awesome platform for that sort of thing too.
Totally. Yeah, I'm all about it. I think we've just got to use it all with discernment and, own our feelings around all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you said, if you're following people who don't make you laugh or make you feel good or they're not bringing some sort of quality to your life, just unfollow them. Like, you don't need to be trolled. You don't need to be a jerk. You don't need to comment on their posts. Just fucking unfollow them. And I say that to people.
They don't know.
I'm like, there's this little button top of my screen. It says unfollow. Go on up, Susan. Give it a push.
Yeah. Unfollow. Totally. It's liberating. And I'm trying to bring the people that I'm following down to under 1,000 because it was ridiculous. And it's like every now and then I'll go through and I'll just be like, unfollow. But if it's like, we change as well. Like, we grow. Like, what? I'm not looking at baby nursery things anymore. So see ya. I mean, like all of those sorts of things. So it's like, it doesn't have to be such a personal thing. Like, just because that was you once, it's not you now, and you can grow and this, and you might come back and whatever. It's an app.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no one, like, we're not the center of everyone's universe. people who you unfollow won't even know unless they've got an app that tells them, and then that's their stuff.
Absolutely.
Honestly, like who cares? Like, carry on. But yeah, I don't know. There's heaps of things. I don't know.
Yes.
You've just got to find your path. But yeah, there's no need to tell someone that you're unfollowing. Just on your way.
Absolutely. Bye, Susan.
Bye, Susan. Poor Susan has copped such a bad rap. Susan, Shannon,
Karen.
or Sharon. Karen cops it as well.
I saw a thing the other
Back
day.
in your box, lady.
I heard this.
Janet.
I saw a meme the other day that said, Karen isn't a name, it's a status you earn. We don't see any babies being called Karen.
No, it's like totally. That's it. It's just a stamp. You're branded.
And they change your name to Karen.
You become Karen. So true. Yep.
So funny.
That's a good theme for a party, isn't it? Everyone's got to come at like Karen, Janet, and just see how everyone rocks up. Yes. Felicia. Like, bye, Felicia. Totally.
Absolutely.
If I had the staying power to stay up late enough to throw a party like that, I would totally do it.
Well, the thing is, you start your party at lunchtime. Or I'm all about daytime.
Because they wouldn't stay out.
No.
Well, either. They wouldn't, would they?
No.
They would wear sensible shoes.
They would not wear heels. There would be no heels.
No.
There would be no dress or top that you couldn't wear a bra with because got to wear a sensible bra.
Responsible. Definitely Peter Pan collars. Or lapels, like real pointy. There might be a pantsuit.
There would definitely be a pantsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, all these ladies who are named. I'm not. We're going to get some mail.
Oh, far out. On that note, you've got a book to write, so I will let you go.
Yes.
But thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely swell. And I will put all the appropriate places people can find you and your books and your social media in the link, and everyone can go and hang out with you and go and enjoy your podcast as well.
Yay. Thanks, Shan.
That's okay, mate. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.